What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Renato Moicano has officially responded to Dan Hooker's recent call-out, and he did it in classic Moicano fashion. Earlier, Hooker appeared in an interview with the Mac Life where he mentioned Moicano as a potential opponent, saying they should fight because, in his words, they both suck. That comment quickly gained attention, and now Moicano has fired back with a mix of honesty, humor, and sharp jabs aimed right at Hooker. Moicano agreed that they're both older fighters and joked that, yes, they both suck, but insisted that Hooker definitely sucks more. He pointed out what he sees as major flaws in Hooker's game, claiming Hooker has no knockout power, no real wrestling, and no effective ground game. In Moicano's view, when you compare them skill for skill, he still has the advantage. He made it clear that despite their similarities, Hooker simply doesn't match up well against him. Moicano also added that, despite the fun back and forth, he doesn't believe the UFC will book this matchup. He thinks fans would enjoy seeing him and Hooker settle it inside the cage, but he doubts the promotion will go in that direction. Still, the exchange created plenty of buzz, and Moicano didn't shy away from making his stance known. He even repeated that Hooker doesn't deserve to be ranked in the top 5 or top 6, and while he himself admits he's not perfect, he stands by the claim that Hooker is far worse in several key areas. After addressing Hooker, Moicano shifted gears and spoke about the current lightweight title picture. He said he doesn't necessarily like Arman, but he respects what he's done and believes Arman is the rightful next contender for the 155-pound belt. According to Moicano, Arman's overall UFC resume proves it. He highlighted how Arman's only losses were to Gamrot in a close, high-level fight and to Makhachev in his short-notice debut. Based on that, Moicano thinks Arman is clearly the #1 option. He also weighed in on Paddy Pimblett's ranking, saying Paddy being number 5 makes no sense at all. He pointed out that Paddy beat Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, and Bobby Green, yet being ranked that high still doesn't justify giving him a title shot. In Moicano's view, the UFC has no realistic way to put Paddy into a championship fight right now. Finally, he mentioned Justin Gaethje as well, noting that although Gaethje won his most recent fight, he had just lost to Max Holloway before that. For Moicano, the title picture is clear. Arman should get the shot next, and everyone else needs another win before being considered. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Dana White reportedly declined an offer from Carlos Prates after Islam defeated JDM by decision at UFC 322. Following the fight, Prates approached Dana and asked if he could step into the octagon for a face-off with Islam to help build some early hype for a potential future title fight. It would have been a classic promotional moment, something the UFC has done many times before when setting up big matchups. But this time, Dana turned the request down. According to Prates, Dana told him that it was the champion's moment, and he didn't want to take away from that by bringing another fighter into the cage. Dana's reasoning was that he didn't want to disturb the newly victorious champion or shift the spotlight away from Islam so soon after the fight. Still, many fans immediately pointed out that the UFC has traditionally allowed face-offs in the cage to set up future bouts, especially after title fights, making this situation stand out. Prates explained the exchange by saying Dana told him, "Let's see, because it's going to be the moment of the champion. We don't want to bother the champion or disturb him during that time." Prates added that he believes Dana might have said that because the promotion still doesn't know who will fight for the title next. With multiple contenders hovering around the top of the division, Prates feels the UFC may simply be waiting to see how things play out before committing to anyone. Even though the interaction didn't go his way, Prates remained respectful and didn't make a big fuss about it. He understands how the business works, but he made it clear that he's ready for a title shot whenever the UFC decides to call. Moving on to another news, Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva is now being targeted for UFC 324. According to MMA Fighting's Guillermo Cruz and Mike Heck, they reported that the matchup is expected to take place at 145 pounds, which is notable because there had recently been talk about Allen potentially moving up a weight class. With this news, it appears the featherweight contender is staying right where he is, at least for now. After the report went public, Cruz clarified again that the fight is indeed set for featherweight, shutting down any speculation that it might be at a different weight. But things took an interesting turn when Arnold Allen logged onto X and posted a simple "nope." It's unclear whether he was responding directly to the reported fight news or reacting to something entirely unrelated. The timing, however, It definitely stirred confusion among fans, with many wondering if the fight is actually happening or if there's more to the story behind the scenes. As of now, nothing is officially confirmed by the UFC, but the matchup itself would be a big addition to the UFC 324 card, especially with both men looking to climb the featherweight ladder. Moving on to another news. Bisping is reportedly finalizing a massive new multi-year contract with the UFC, keeping him locked in as a key part of the broadcast team. As most fans know, Bisping transitioned from being a longtime UFC competitor to becoming one of the most recognizable voices on the commentary desk. Now, during a recent interview with MMA Junkie, he revealed that he's in the process of signing a 4-year extension that will keep him with the organization well into the next era of UFC broadcasting. Bisping explained that the deal is nearly complete and that he's extremely pleased with the opportunity. He thanked the UFC staff, Dana, and everyone involved for extending the agreement, saying he feels genuinely grateful, especially with the company preparing to move into its new partnership with Paramount TV. Even though the contract isn't officially signed yet, he made it clear that it's essentially done and that both sides are finalizing the last details. He talked about how fortunate he feels to still be part of the company after everything the sport has given him throughout his fighting career, and now as a commentator, he said staying involved means a lot on a personal level. He also acknowledged that some people might call him a company man, but he didn't shy away from it. In his words, the UFC is the finest MMA promotion on the planet, and he's proud to continue contributing to the sport in this role. Bisping emphasized that he expressed his gratitude directly to Dana as well, saying that being able to remain with the organization for another 4 years is something he doesn't take for granted. With the UFC preparing for the transition to Paramount TV, there's a lot of curiosity about whether any major changes will be made to the broadcast lineup. While nothing has been confirmed yet, the timing of Bisping's extension adds an interesting layer to the conversation, especially as fans wonder how the presentation of UFC events might evolve moving forward. Moving on to another news, Carlos Prates spoke confidently about what comes next in his UFC journey. He explained that he's ready for anyone the promotion puts in front of him and made it clear that he isn't backing down from any challenge. Prates said he's prepared to face Michael Morales, JDM, or whoever the UFC decides is the right matchup. He emphasized that he doesn't overthink the opponent because, in his mind, every fight is simply another step toward his ultimate goal. Prates expressed that he wants to earn a title shot and believes he's getting closer with every performance. Still, he understands the process and is willing to take one more fight if that's what it takes. He reiterated that he's aiming for big names and tough matchups because that's what pushes him forward. According to him, the focus is staying ready, staying sharp, and proving that he belongs among the division's elite. Prates finished by saying that whether it's Morales, JDM, or anyone else, he'll show up and fight with everything he has. Moving on to another news, Sean Brady is now hinting at a possible move down to the lightweight division following his recent setback. At UFC 322, Brady was TKO'd in the first round by Michael Morales, a loss that clearly stung but didn't break his spirit. Shortly after the fight, Brady posted on Instagram saying he was healthy and doing fine. Now, just a couple of weeks later, he's had time to reflect on everything during an episode of the Brady Bag Show on YouTube. He explained that he's handling the loss well and already feels motivated to return to the UFC early next year. Brady said he simply got caught by a punch. It was one of those moments every fighter understands, something that can happen in any fight. He admitted it sucked, but he also emphasized that winning and losing are both part of the game. He reminded viewers that he has far more wins than losses, and the only thing that truly bothered him was not being able to show all the work he put in during camp. Looking back, he said there were a million things he could have done differently, like shooting earlier, but he didn't dwell on it too long. Instead, he focused on how healthy he is, how he's already back in training, or Escalate, and how eager he is to prove just how good he really is when he steps back into the octagon early next year. Later in the show, Brady opened up about Fight Week, revealing that a lot of things went wrong behind the scenes. He didn't want to make excuses, but he admitted there were moments where he could have pulled out of the fight entirely. Still, he pushed through because, as he said, he's a fighter. And he didn't want to sit there listing all the things that happened because it would only sound like excuse-making. When discussing what's next, Brady expressed interest in a rematch with Belal Muhammad, since both men are coming off losses and share history inside the cage. But what really caught attention was Brady bringing up the possibility of moving down to lightweight. He explained that according to testing at the PI, he's at the upper limit of muscle mass for a welterweight, But physically, in terms of height and overall dimensions, he feels on the smaller side. He pointed out that many top welterweights are over 6 feet tall, making him consider whether 155 pounds might be a better long-term fit. He admitted it would be extremely difficult, but said the issue isn't skills, it's dimensions. He feels he would match up better with fighters who are closer to his height and size. Former UFC fighter Zach Paga reacted to Brady's comments on X, saying that moving down a weight class is never the answer. Moving on to another news, Arman continues to trash the idea of Ilia versus Paddy Pimblett following his huge win in Qatar. Fresh off that victory, Arman has been active across social media, doubling down on his belief that Ilia fighting Paddy makes no sense. He's been calling the matchup a joke, pushing hard against the idea that Paddy is anywhere near Ilia's level. Yesterday, we covered Arman going off about this in an interview with Ariel Helwani, where he dismissed the matchup entirely. Now, he's taken things even further during a conversation with Daniel Cormier. In this interview, Arman didn't hold back at all, saying the MMA community would laugh if the UFC booked Ilia versus Paddy, because in his words, it would be an easy night for Ilia. He even threw in a jab aimed at Michael Chandler while making his point. Arman explained that the situation feels exactly like someone trying to convince the world that Paddy could realistically challenge Ilia. He said people would be laughing the moment such a matchup is announced. When DC pressed him on whether Paddy has anything to offer Ilia, Arman shut it down immediately, saying there's absolutely no way Paddy could pose a threat. DC tried to push back by bringing up what Paddy did to Chandler, but Arman didn't budge. He joked about how many people have destroyed Chandler and questioned why anyone would use that argument as proof Paddy could compete with Ilia. His tone made it clear he sees the matchup as absurd from every angle. Later that night, Arman went on X and once again took aim at Ilia, posting a message mocking his recent performances and calling his fall-off wild. He wrote that Ilia has gone from El Matador to LP and now all the way to El Pedico and El Panoa. It's clear Arman is doing everything he can to stir the pot and keep the pressure on. He wants a big fight, and he's making sure everyone knows exactly how he feels. As for the fans, opinions are all over the place. Some want to see Ilia versus Paddy, others want Ilia versus Arman, while a chunk of the MMA community believes the UFC has forgotten about Justin Gaethje entirely. Gaethje has already warned the UFC that if he doesn't get a title shot soon, he'll retire. With tensions rising and so many fighters demanding their spot, the lightweight division is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable in years. Moving on to another news, Conor and Khabib found themselves in another heated back and forth after Khabib revealed the success of his latest digital project. He recently launched a collection of digital papakas, and the entire drop sold out incredibly fast, earning him an impressive $4.35 million. The collection included 29,000 digital papakas, auctioned through Telegram, each selling for an average price of around $150. While fans rushed to buy them, Conor wasted no time calling Khabib out and accusing him of scamming his supporters. Conor pointed out that Khabib had deleted his original post promoting the NFTs, only to restore it after the sale was completed. In a passionate message, Conor wrote that there was no way good guy Khabib would use his late father's name and Dagестан's culture to push digital items, sell them, delete the promotional content, and leave fans feeling robbed. He doubled down by responding to another fan who labeled Khabib a scam artist, saying it was a shameful stain on his father's name and that turning father's plan into father's scam was unbelievably low. Conor then contrasted this with Islam honoring his own father by placing his 2 world titles on his shoulders and talking proudly about what it meant to be the son of a double champion. He said that kind of moment was the real definition of truth. Khabib didn't stay quiet. He fired back at Conor, calling him a liar and accusing him of trying to darken his legacy because of what happened in their fight. He insisted that Conor would never succeed in tarnishing his name. Khabib defended his project by saying that good people create exclusive, meaningful digital gifts with real-time value that supporters can share with friends and family. He added that the papakas symbolized the deep traditions and culture of Dagestan, something that was slowly spreading across the world whether Conor liked it or not. He highlighted that the gifts were available exclusively on Telegram, which he described as the greatest messaging platform in the world. To reinforce his point, Khabib reposted his original announcement about the digital papakas, proudly stating that the auction had ended and every single paca had been sold. He thanked everyone who participated and became holders of what he described as a great and exclusive digital gift. Khabib finished by saying the digital papacas carried real value, could be shared with loved ones, and that he appreciated the trust shown by everyone who supported the project, emphasizing once again that it was all done through Telegram. Moving on to another news, Carlos Prates revealed that he was extremely close to competing in a grappling match against top lightweight contender Arman, but the UFC stepped in and stopped it before anything could move forward. During an interview with Ariel Helwani, Prates explained that a grappling promotion reached out to him with an offer to face Arman on December 30th for a special event. He said he immediately accepted the matchup because he thought it would be a fun challenge and a chance to test himself against one of the best grapplers in the division. Prates said he was ready to go, willing to jump in on short notice for the event, but the UFC quickly shut it down. According to him, the promotion did not allow him to participate in the grappling bout, even though he had already agreed. He explained that the UFC simply told him no, and there wasn't much he could do about it. He repeated that he said yes right away, but the UFC would not give the green light. He also mentioned that he didn't want to fight in January anyway, because he wanted to enjoy his New Year celebrations with friends and family. For him, the timing of the grappling event worked out perfectly, but the UFC ultimately made the call to prevent it from happening. Prates added that maybe after February, he'd be open to doing something like that again, depending on how things line up. When Helwani suggested how entertaining a grappling match between him and Arman would have been, Prates agreed and said it definitely would have been cool. But again, he emphasized that the UFC shut it down without hesitation. Even though he understood the decision, he made it clear that he was genuinely interested in the matchup and thought it would have been a fun opportunity outside of his regular MMA schedule.